Note: all Bible quotes in this presentation are from the 1611 King James Bible, as translated out of the original language Hebrew. Please be advised, this presentation is a continuation of the previous video entitled The Black Pharaohs of Egypt. The ancient Egyptians were black. If you have not watched that video, it is better for you to go back and watch it before continuing any further. This is so because knowing what is contained in the previous video is crucial to fully understand this presentation. The history of the Israelite nation began in Egypt, the land of Ham. They entered Egypt, 70 in number, including Joseph, his wife, and 2 sons who were already in Egypt. They left Egypt numbering over 2 million people. Ancient Israel spent 430 years in Egypt. Throughout the Bible, Israel is described as physically looking like the sons of Ham, in appearance. At this point, we must all agree that Egypt is located in Africa, and that it was full of black people before being conquered by the other nations. Throughout the Bible, the Hebrews were oftentimes confused with the Egyptians. Remember that the ancient Egyptians depicted themselves black on the walls of Egypt. The Bible also says that the Israelites looked like the Ethiopians. Genesis chapter 42, verse 3 and 5-6, and verse 8. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt, and the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came, and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. Joseph was betrayed by his 10 brothers and sold down into Egypt as a slave. After serving for many years, Joseph was appointed to the position of a governor by Pharaoh, king of Egypt. In the process of time, there came a famine in the land of Egypt and many surrounding nations. Joseph's 10 brothers came into Egypt to buy corn because of a famine in the land. Everyone who came into Egypt bought corn from Joseph, but when Joseph's 10 brothers came to Africa, they did not recognize their young brother. They did not recognize him because Joseph had grown up and the Egyptians were a black people like the sons of Jacob. Jacob's 10 sons considered Joseph to be another black Egyptian. Genesis chapter 50, verse 7-8, and 10-11. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt, and all the house of Joseph, and his brethren, and his father's house, only their little ones, and their flocks, and their herds, they left in the land of Goshen. And they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan, and there they mourned with a great and very sore lamentation, and he made a mourning for his father 7 days. And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians, wherefore the name of it was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond Jordan. When Jacob died, the children of Israel went back to the land of Canaan to bury their father. When the Canaanites saw the burial procession of Jacob, they mistook the Israelites for black Egyptians. Exodus chapter 2, verse 16-17, and 18-19. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water, and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them, and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel their father, he said, How is it that ye are come so soon today? And they said, An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us, and watered the flock. The daughters of Reuel, the priest of Midian, mistook Moses for an Egyptian. We know that the ancient Egyptians were black. So, Reuel's daughters did not confuse Moses with an Egyptian because of his clothing but rather because of his black skin. If an African were to put on European clothing, nobody would mistake him for a European. The opposite is also true for a European man who puts on African clothing. Acts chapter 7, verse 22. And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and was mighty in words and in deeds. Moses was born and raised in Egypt. He was adopted by Pharaoh's daughter and given an Egyptian name. Moses knew how to speak both Egyptian and Hebrew, and possibly other languages as well. He had African wisdom and knowledge. This is important because the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis to Deuteronomy, known as the Torah, were written by a man of color, raised by people of color, in Africa. Moses looked like an Egyptian, not just because of his clothing but also because of his dark skin resembling that of the ancient Egyptians. Acts chapter 21, verse 37 to 39. And as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto thee? Who said, Canst thou speak Greek? Art not thou that Egyptian, which before these days madest an uproar, and leddest out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers? But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city, and I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people. The apostle Paul was also mistaken for an Egyptian by the chief captain of the Roman guard. Unlike Moses, Paul was a Pharisee, and there was no way he would have been dressed like an Egyptian for him to be confused with ancient Egyptians. This means that the Israelites and the Egyptians had black skin as the main thing in common between them. The Israelites looked not only like the black Egyptians but they also had the appearance of the Ethiopians. Today, it is a well-known fact that Ethiopia is in Africa and that the Ethiopians are black. They come from Cush, who was the firstborn son of Ham, the youngest son of Noah. Amos chapter 9, verse 7. Are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? Saith the Lord. Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt? And the Philistines from Chapter, and the Syrians from Cair? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob compared his people, the children of Israel, to the Ethiopians. Notice also that strong emphasis is given on Israel's exodus from the land of the black, Africa. Jeremiah chapter 13, verse 23. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Then may ye also do good, that are accustomed to do evil. In biblical times, the Ethiopians were known for their skin being very black. We know that God likened the children of Israel to the Ethiopians. This would mean that the Israelites bore strong resemblance to the Ethiopians. Cornelius Tacitus, a senator and historian of the Roman Empire who lived about CE 90, is quoted as saying, Many assert that the Hebrews are a race of Ethiopian origins.